Man, I was sure wishing I'd get one of those tutus that you just my colors. And I had to ask why you were wearing them, and it's just so exciting. Thank you everyone for being here. I mulled over this presentation for about 2 weeks. And then I finally wrote it down, and it just came out smooth as satin. And then I talked to my son, and he said, Mama, you want to just make that speech 5 minutes? And I said, oh God, how am I going to do that? I said, I don't think it's more than 10 minutes. But he said, well, that's just the rule. So I tried to cut it down, but in the process I took all the cariño out of my story. What is cariño? Cariño means affection in Spanish. So I decided to tell the whole story as fast as I could, and hopefully in 5 to 7 minutes. I'm going to take you back to 1960 when I was 14 years old. I was in 8th grade, and down the block lived this handsome guy who was a senior in high school. And I had a mad crush on him. I used to get in my dungarees and go out in front of the house in the road, play baseball with my friends and my cousin just to see him drive by so I could say, hi Nathan, hi Nathan, do you see me? Do you see me? Well, you know, seniors didn't care what little 8th graders were made of. So anyway, he graduated, went on to the Marine Corps. I was working at the nursing home hospital at that time, and fortunate enough that I worked with his mother. So here I was, my 4 high school years, asking her over and over, how's Nathan? Have you heard from Nathan yet? I was just dogging her about this guy named Nathan. Well, when I was a senior in high school, he finally wrote a letter to me, and I was the most excited girl in Springer High School. We wrote for that whole year, and I sent him a picture of myself. So then I went on, and I moved to Alamogordo. I worked in the hospital there, and he finished his Marine Corps duty. And one day I went home from work, and the phone rang, and I answered it, and I thought it was a crank call. I said, who is this? Good grief. Wham! I hung up on him. So he called me back. He says, don't hang up, this is Nathan. I came here to Alamogordo to see you. I said, oh, okay. Well, the rest is history. He told me later, when I saw your picture that you sent me when you were in high school, I knew I was going to marry you. And so indeed, we did get married. Indeed, we had a life together of 42 years and 2 sons later. When Nathan was in his late 50s, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And we said, we're not going to let this get us down. We're going to go day by day. We're going to give her hell. We're going to have hope. We're going to have determination. And we're going to persevere. No matter what. We're going to beat this. Well, he did beat it. However, at age 66, he was diagnosed with small cell carcinoma of the lung. And Nathan had been, in his later years, for some reason or another, every yaya you had, he had. So if I caught a cold, I didn't want to say anything because pretty soon he had a cold. If I hurt my elbow, pretty soon I think I hurt mine too. So we quit saying anything that was wrong with us. But he became very tender in that way. Well, what do they say? Hindsight is 2020. After Nathan passed, I realized that all those little yayas and colds were the little cancer, I call them gnats. He had small cell carcinoma. They're just like little gnats, cells that just go all over the place and you can't catch them, you can't do anything, and they're just all over the place. So all those little yayas he had were the little gnats doing their work for 5 years before we knew that he had small cell carcinoma with a 2% chance of survival. Okay, that's the way it's going to be. We're going to give her hell, and we're going to have hope, and we're going to have determination, and we're going to persevere no matter what. Even with the 2%, we're still going to do the very best we can. Now, why am I here today? It's not to tell you the sad story of what it was like. The main thing I want to tell you is there's hope in every day. There's hope just to get up in the morning. There's hope to dance to the oldies in the kitchen like we did. There's hope for the evenings to be passed by playing computer golf. Nathan couldn't play real golf anymore, so him and I played golf on the computer, and Lord have mercy, we were passionate. We had hope, we were determined, and we persevered. And we had $20. He had 10 $1 bills, and I had the other 10. Except he always beat, and so I'd hand over my dollars. And then at the end of him winning, we'd divide the $20 again. And we'd play again, and again, and again. So it's those little things of hope each day that you make those memories, you make your loved one as comfortable as possible. I took care of Nathan at home. I'm not sure that was the best decision. I thought it was at the time, and it probably was, but this has been 7 years, and I think I am just now beginning to process the seriousness of what has happened to us. My 8th grade crush is no longer here. And the past 7 years, I say I would be putting everything together, making all the payments, watering the damn geraniums I didn't want to take care of in the first place, doing all the things. He did half and I did half, now I'm doing whole. So the last few years have been spent putting it all together, but now I think I'm just coming to terms with what really happened 7 years ago. So, I have some advice for you for what I've been through. Number 1 is read all you can about the diagnosis, whether it be the library, the computer, whatever, your doctor, whatever you can get your hands on, read about it and educate yourself. I wish I had known that Nathan's cancer was 5 years in the making. I don't think it would have changed anything, but I wish I had known. The next thing is read books, read pamphlets. There is a book, I brought it with me if you're interested. It's by Denise Copey. She's a hospice nurse, and I was fortunate enough to hear her speak, and she talks all about whatever we went through. I always wondered, even though I'm a nurse and a social worker, that doesn't mean I know everything. Sometimes I think I do, but no, I do not know everything. I did not know everything. I have taken care of countless of elders in the death process, but somehow this was different and I didn't know. But had I had that book and read it before, it would have eased a lot of my anxiety, and it would explain a lot of things that I went through. You can't afford the luxury of another negative thought. That's another book. That helped my mother through her cancer. One more thing is to listen. Listen to those yayas. Listen to my elbow aches. Listen to I got a little dull ache here on my side. That was the cancer in his liver. Listen. They're telling you something. They're telling you those little things. You may think they mean nothing and they're just like cry wolf. No, listen. Not only then listen to them, later on because they're telling you what they feel. Now, the last thing I'd like to share is, dadgum, take care of yourself if you're a caretaker. Do not try to do it by yourself. I mean, that is just absolutely um, one of the most negative things you can do. Get help, accept help, ask for help. Don't do it all by yourself. We didn't have hospice at that time. I promised Nathan I wouldn't put him in the hospital, that we would take care of him at home, and that we did indeed do. But it would have been nice to have a little break, a little counseling, a little support, because what happened to me is I went into autopilot and I didn't pay attention to how I was dealing. I really think I was in denial in that whole time. Oh yeah, I took care of him. I lotioned him and took his blood pressure and brushed his teeth and did his laundry, cooked for him. But I really didn't pay attention to me, and that's why now, 7 years later, I'm just now beginning to realize what has happened to my crush, my 8th grade crush, whom I will love forever. And I think that's about all I want to tell you. I want to thank a lot of people that helped us along the way. Jana Florsham at the Oncology Clinic, Scott Herbert, MCMC staff, Alta Vista Regional, St. Vincent's, Christus St. Vincent's in Santa Fe, friends, relatives, anybody who came to help support us during that time. And of course, thanks to our sons, John and Robert. And thank you. Thank you for listening to me. I really, really appreciate it. It means a lot to me that you listen to what I have to say, because it's true.